Just left Portomarin. Puts you in a nice forested area. It's a little bit cooler this morning. Feels more like it's in the low 60s, mid 60s. We found 2 sticks. Somebody left them at the marker. Galicia, this area, so maybe they don't see the pilgrims quite in the same way as a Catholic journey. Also, contrary to what we were warned about, these hordes of people, man, it's like not even 11 o'clock and we're the only ones on the trail, so it's always I mean, I thought this segment of the trail, the hike to Santiago, would be just flooded with people, but I'm pleasantly surprised that, I mean, we do run across people, but not the big hordes that I was expecting, so that's good.
Como que, you know, there are enough. Pero que, it's like,
I haven't met a Pellegrino in quite some time now, since we entered Galicia.
Oh, and Galicia is like, for me, it's one of the most beautiful sections of the Camino.
You know it because you've done it before?
Well, no, I started in
St. John's?
Yeah.
Yeah, same as us. Yes, St. John's.
So, Galicia, like starting a couple of days before Osorreiro.
No conozco esta gente.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, the country is beautiful, but I was surprised at it. It feels a little bit like things have shifted, because when you're in St. John, you're in the mountains, you're close to God, and then you start going down and down and down, and then when you get to, it feels like when you got to Galicia, because you can get your Compostela if you start in Sarria and you complete the last 100 kilometers. And so then you have all these tourists.
Yes.
They're no longer,
Yes.
it feels a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah. No, not only that, but I don't know if you noticed, but when you start, there's something that tends to happen at the very beginning.
Yeah,
especially when you have a nice dinner in the community, you know, like at the albergue. I had a couple of very special dinners where you share, and people open up. They're not afraid. It's almost like the next day I talk to some of them, and they say, I don't know what has happened, but I get to share things that maybe I kept to myself for years. And in El Camino, they felt comfortable
talking.
Like at the end of dinner, after dessert, why are you doing the Camino? And there were some very powerful
reasons.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, my husband.
Emotions. Feelings. People that were like, you feel the energy in the room, and that did not happen after the first week. So I noticed that the first week.
The first week, it was, see. So did you stay in Horizon?
In Roncesvalles. Horizon is a really nice place.
Yeah.
Because it's a routine, every night they do it.
Yes. Now what about, did you stay in Horizon or Bordeaux? Where was your...
I stayed. I did not spend a night in San John.
No,
I spent my first night was in Horizon.
Okay, in that Burke.
I highly recommend.
There's another.
I do think it's just too much for the first day to go all the way to Roncesvalles.
Yes.
Especially when the first night it was
very windy, cold,
raining, super cold stuff. But like after that experience, I tend to be a little bit. I used to be introverted, and this is one of the things that it was a challenge while doing the Camino. I did a Camino from Sarria to Santiago a few years back.
Oh, you from where? Where
just Sarria.
Okay, so shorter.
Yeah, with my kids like 6 years ago.
Okay, so you did 100 kilometers basically.
Yes, I started in Ocebreiro, and then I met 3 of my kids in Sarria.
Okay.
And we finished from Sarria to Santiago.
Okay.
And that's when one of the first things I wanted to get done was to try to be a little more friendly.
See, that's what I said today, is that maybe it's me who's maybe closed off a little bit, and I need to open up and say, if I see some pilgrim, hi, how are you?
You did today.
That's like we did today.
So I've been doing that, and it's taken years, but now I give an example, in the middle of the Camino, we were having dinner on an albergue. And I noticed that everybody was talking to the person next to the but not to the group table.
Yes.
And I said, I'm going to get out of my comfort zone, and it's kind of hard for me.
Yes.
But I'm going to suggest that we do what we did in Roncesvalles, to just open up and talk about why you're doing the Camino, whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And he was, wow. I'm so glad I did.
Because
the same thing happened. There was, stories that were amazing.
See, I know what you're saying. I tried the same in an albergue, and it didn't work. I started it. I said, what reason are you people doing it? And then in a short time, they just started talking to the person next to them.
Wow.
Very short time.
Well, okay, but at least you tried,
At least I tried.
Let me tell you that something like that happened at another albergue, and it's fine. You do.
You do what you can.
Go with the flow.
You can't. Pretty much. You can't force. You can't. But
your language is an issue,
Well, see, that's right, because we got stuck in a small town with a Japanese, a German, and yo hablo ein bisschen. Yo puedo hablar Deutsch, ein bisschen alemán, ein bisschen suficiente para comunicar con esta gente. But at any rate, so if you don't have that, then yes, it's more complicated.
They start feeling more comfortable talking to the person next to them than making an effort.
Making an effort. Yeah.
Buen camino.
Hola. Bien camino. Yeah, so what you experience is kind of what I was saying to my wife. I was saying that, the further we come down, it's almost like you're high up in the mountains, you're close to God, almost literally. And then as you descend and you go lower and lower into the real world, now you're dealing with real world people, real world issues, and you're back. You're no longer in the daydream of the marriage. You're now into the reality of the day-to-day grind. Who's paying the bills? Who's taking care of the kids? Who's picking them up? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's almost, and it also shifts when you get into Galicia, the region of, it shifts a little bit, because from Sarria onward, well, now you have people that just do it for fun.
Yes, exactly.
And yesterday we just stopped for a little snack, and it's like 3 groups of people with their music just playing loud, not just quiet. You got earbuds, but you can tell they're just here to.
Yes.
We're gonna go to the Albergue, have some beers, and so. But I also said, everybody who started in St. John is going to be on the trail. So the pilgrims are still here.
Yeah, definitely.
It doesn't stop.
Yeah, yeah.
So
and one thing, I also try to do is like, and the Camino helps you. Is what you said, from Sarria to Santiago.
Yes,
this like I think they call in the ¿cómo se dice? Pellegrino.
Yeah.
De
turismo.
Vacation in Pellegrino.
Yeah.
Algo así.
Turismo
Pellegrino.
Turismo Pellegrino. Okay.
Pero I think it takes conscious. Everybody does the Camino their own way.
Yes.
And it's kind of hard, so it's fun.
Yes.
It's like people do it backwards. People
do it backwards.
Yeah, I met people that they started in Santiago actually the other day.
Yeah.
This guy did it with his 2 dogs. It took a month from Italy to Santiago, and I met him when he was coming back, and he says how difficult it was to have an albergue that would take his dogs.
That would take the dogs.
Yeah, so he spent several nights
outside
with a tent.
Okay.
So imagine.
But that's not so bad necessarily.
Oh my God. So imagine, it must be amazing, like with your 2 dogs, but at the same time, it's just, imagine having to pack
the food
for camping,
I didn't think about the camping part of it.
Yeah. But,
well, so would you say what is the reason you're doing the Camino then?
Here, the Camino, well, I'll be honest, okay? Like before I started the Camino, I thought for a few months before doing it, and I was saying, oh my God, I live in Miami Beach. I have a very simple life.
Yeah.
I simplified. I'm a fish out of water in Miami Beach.
Did you sell your stuff?
Yeah, like I got divorced a few years back, so
I've
been able to downsize and have all my belongings in pretty much 3 boxes.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of that.
You did that?
Yeah, for the last 10 years. So I have basically a small studio, and I have I think a very good quality of life. I run a lot, I go on my bike, I have beach tennis friends almost every morning, boot camp at 6:30 in the morning. So I was, for many weeks, was debating where to do the Camino, and saying, where am I going to go for a month? Walking, staying in albergues, which is not something that, my mother was like a clean freak, so imagine staying in public albergues. So why am I going to do all that?
Now, have you primarily been staying in albergues?
Yes.
Like the whole time, every time?
Pretty much.
Okay, now why? Why do you do that? Why?
Well, at first it was just like a challenge to overcome, that you start feeling that, wow, this is something I can do, and less is more. For me, like being able to overcome mental things that you've had since you were little, that you needed to have a very clean place. And now you stay in your own room,
your own space,
overcoming that gives you a sense of like pride, freedom. Now you can stay here on a Hilton, it's the same. And when you stay at the Hilton, maybe you appreciate even more. So that was nice. So right before making the decision to do the Camino, I was nervous. I remember telling my friends, oh my God, what am I doing? 30 days of walking and not comfortable.
Were you worried physically?
No, not physically.
Okay.
More like just, having to walk with rain, getting into the albergue, all sweat, and bathrooms and shared beds and that. Because I had done a little bit of it, from Sarria to Santiago with my kids.
Oh, yes.
But it was a little different. I stayed in nice albergues. So I wasn't really very comfortable, I wasn't really sure. I remember saying, oh yeah, this is for fun. At the end of the day, it's a vacation. So I'm saying, why am I doing this if I'm feeling anxious? But what a surprise. Once I started doing the Camino, I felt like, wow, this is like magical. Started feeling amazing. I don't know, but I started feeling super nice. And it's not that all pretty. I had tough times doing the Camino. I got sick, got a really bad cold, my feet got swollen. So again, it hasn't been all pretty. I stayed in places that were like not very clean.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it was a magical experience. I've learned so much. I think has something to do with I am with this process, which might not be necessarily for some people a good thing, but I think for me it's a good thing that I'm questioning everything.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm basically reassessing everything. You know, like
like in your in with who you are,
exactly,
what you're doing.
Exactly. Self-love. What does it mean to really love somebody?
Look behind us.
Freedom.
On this side.
I'm sorry.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah. We actually I try to capture that with video, and it's not the same, you know.
I know it's not, but it's something.
Yeah.
You catch.
But anyway, so I think for me the Camino, it's not for everybody. You know, like I also made the mistake of whenever I find something that is good for me, like exercising. I remember, like I told you about exercising at 6:30 in the morning. Yeah, I make the mistake of assuming, you should do this, but not everybody's in the same.
It's in the same place at the same time.
For me, work great. I never thought I would enjoy going to boot camp at 6:30 in the morning, and now I love it. You know, that's one of the reasons why I was thinking, my God, 30 days without exercising.
But you're exercising.
No, but it's a different type of exercise.
I know it's a different kind.
So yes.
Okay, well, so it sounds like you got the somewhat transformation of challenging by staying in the Alberques.
Yes.
And dealing with the public experience. More of the human. But you know, the human experience isn't all that wonderful when you get down to it. It's like dirty socks, snoring people, dirty bathroom. Huh?
Yeah, it took me a while to get used to it.
But you feel like you've made that shift.
Yes.
Huh? Yeah. And out of the Alberques that you stayed at, the dinners that you would share, what would you say, out of what percentage would you say that they were good experiences, like where people really did open up? Like
okay.
Because you stayed at 30.
Opening up,
like 5 maybe? 5 were there, yeah, okay.
5. And not all 5 were as powerful. Like,
yes.
If you want, I can share specifically. I'm never going to forget. You want me to share? You want me to share one experience?
Yes.
One of the places that I was staying, the owner, she grew up on the Camino. Morning, buen Camino. And her parents had an albergue. So imagine, since she was little, she saw albergue, how it is, and so she experienced the Camino. So now that she's in her 40s or 30s, well, now she's in her 50s, but like I think, 10 years ago, she decided to get into a place and make it into an albergue right on the Camino. So you can feel the difference when you stay in those places. It's very different from a public, or very different. Like the energy is different.
Yeah.
So when I stay there, again, people from Germany, England, France, Japan, Italy, and Argentina. It was super nice. Ireland.
You know what?
Nice.
I'm going to shift. Because if the traffic will, this way the microphone is facing you and it's not going to be picking up the traffic.
No problem. So I was staying there, and I did what I was telling you earlier. I said, everybody was just talking to one another, and I made an effort to say, how about if we do this? Like, you don't have to say anything you don't want to, just share whatever you want about why you're doing the Camino. And that was one of the nights I'm never going to forget. There were a couple of, 2 things. One lady said something that I had not thought about, which I said, wow, the Camino, one of the most impressive things is that you find people from all over the world, different cultures, and at the end of the day, we're almost the same, looking for the same love, basic needs, caring, it's amazing how we are the same at the end of the day. But she said, I could tell that she was like carrying a lot. I could tell that her energy
burden wise.
Yeah. She said, well, Not necessarily, because in Camino you will find people that are looking for answers and they're into that energy, and that's not a good sample of the rest of the world. And I think she has a good point.
Meaning that there's not, just like the Camino, not everybody's on the spiritual path.
Exactly.
It's almost a certain percentage, yes. Certain percentage, no.
Exactly.
Okay.
I agree. But anyway, so but when she had, when it was her turn, she started crying, and she said that she's been carrying a lot.
A burden.
Yeah, like since she was little, and she's trying to learn to love herself, and it was very intense. But the one I want to share with you is that there was this guy. He must have been in his 70s, and when it was his turn, he shared how he had been married for 33 years, and a good marriage. They went to sleep one night just like any other night, and somehow I guess in the morning he woke up and he noticed that there was something wrong. He felt it, he felt the energy. He says that he didn't have to see his wife. And when he turned the light on, the wife had passed.
Oh.
He died, he passed. He didn't notice. So he said it's been so difficult to overcome life after. And his kids have been trying to help him get out of that depression, The co-workers gave him the bastone, and he shared how difficult it was. But it was incredible. The next day, I was one of the first ones to leave super early at 6 in the morning. I was the first one, and then somehow, despite saying the Camino magical, my foot was hurting, which is super healthy. So I had to stop. And when I stopped, he came along. So we started talking.
He came along?
Yeah, he came along.
Like he shared?
No, he was walking, so we met.
Yes.
I kept walking,
Yeah.
And then we talked for 20 minutes. And this is where it gets so I felt, the need to tell him that his wife, again, it sounds weird, you don't feel weird saying it, but I felt like I needed to tell him that he had to make the best out of his time left here on earth, and that his wife wanted him to know that she wanted him to be okay, that she knows how difficult it is to keep going, but she wanted him to be happy, so that was extremely powerful. That I'm never going to forget that experience. Someone
now,
I felt something very special.
Was that the impulse of why he did the Camino? He was process when the passing of his wife.
During that 20 minutes that we walked, he was saying how he was making an effort because life was before and after, and that he didn't feel motivated. He felt like life had ended. And I don't know, I don't know if I got so emotional because I had spent another day with my aunt that lives in Logroño, and her son died.
No, you got an aunt that lives in Logroño?
Yes, So right before that, I had spent a day with my aunt in Logroño. And imagine, my aunt is destroyed. My life is my aunt. You talk to her and you can try to help her, and she's just life ended. She doesn't have any drive. She just feels waiting for death.
This is your aunt now?
My aunt.
In Logroño?
In Logroño.
And what?
So I don't know if the combination, I've seen, I think for me, in the last few years, with my experience of relationships, I think it's so, for me, okay, that's just
Yes.
my experience. It's so important to love and to know what love is, healthy love.
Yes.
And I think healthy love is just that, of course, you give love, but not to the point that your life depends on
That
the other
person.
person. That's not healthy. And the fact that you can reassess and continue life saying, I love my wife so much, but again, I need to continue and make the best out of it, not feel like life ended.
When did you divorce? How long ago?
Well, no, I had two very important relationships. Some of my kids, 27 years, and then I got married
Okay.
again. And second, I wasn't really going to get married. So it's a story for another day.
Yeah.
But I got married for 7.
For 7 more years. And okay, and then.
And
but
now
how
I'm divorced.
how long ago did you divorce?
2 years.
2 years.
Year and a half, 2 years.
Well, would you say the Camino? Do you think you're processing that divorce and that relationship as part of this Camino that you're taking?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And right now I'm processing all about healthy attachment,
Unhealthy.
codependency,
Yeah.
ways to love, like all that.
Yeah.
Freedom.
I don't know how much of the conversation you will record with Pepe, but he was exactly the person that I needed to connect with today. So I'm so grateful. So don't lose faith. I definitely did start losing faith, thinking, it's just a bunch of tourist pilgrims now, and it's not the case. It's like, stay open. God will send, and you'll connect with the people that you're supposed to connect with. And sometimes you don't connect with anybody. But I thought, I don't know how much of what I recorded will come through, but I would describe him as being a pilgrim brother, like a Camino brother. That's what it's like. It's almost like you have this instant connect, because you're both doing the path. He started basically Orison, St. John. He didn't stay in St. John. He thought it was too busy there, so he just stayed in Orison and started his journey from that point on, and had challenged the staying in the Alberques, and felt like he made a big transformation. So, boy, I'm not going to say anything about the Alberques. I think that's a very legitimate and a very reasonable and a very good challenge to take. I think that's probably the best way to put that, and not discuss whether you should or shouldn't stand the Alberques and snoring and all of that. That's all comes with humanity. But the bigger picture for him was that it helped him to transform, to become a more open person on the Camino. And certainly his heart was quite open. I mean, he cried. He started crying, and just being around him, I don't know, it just makes you want to cry too. So maybe it's because you've been on the trail for 30 plus days. So I was quite impressed with Pepe from Miami.
People come back and do the Camino more than once is because now they're ready to, okay, now I'm ready to do this a different way.
Yeah, but how is that working? Like,
Yes.
how is it though? The math. There's no right way to do it.
Absolutely not. People that say that you shouldn't book or you shouldn't forward your luggage on,
Yes.
absolute nonsense. If
Yeah.
that's what your Camino is, that's what your Camino is, and it's not for anyone else to tell you otherwise.
Like your life, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, so how's the math working? You know, you're going to arrive later because, well, you're probably going to stop at. You're going to probably start looking at the Alberques, the first towns we start coming into, right?
From now, yes.
From now, okay.
And
So it's still not 12 even.
no.
And so you're in good,
So if I have to go on for another couple of hours, I'm fine with that.
right?
And then if I can't get an albergue, if
Take
there's
a
a hotel, I wouldn't want to do it every day.
Now, why? Why wouldn't you want to do it every day?
Because of budget.
Okay, so you're. Well, do you feel like is it economics that's making you go to the Alberques?
Yeah, well,
It's a combination.
a combination really. It's a balance because
Yeah, $14 versus 120.
well, that's right.
And you're on the Camino for 30 plus days.
Yeah, and you know, albergues, I love stopping in albergues, but every few nights it's really nice to have a private room
Yeah.
where you can turn your lights on whatever time
Yeah.
you want. You
Yeah.
can
Take a shower. Leave the seat up.
That's right, yeah, you can do whatever you want. So it's a balance, really.
But is it working where you do come into the town and you can find a place?
Yeah.
And you're planning time-wise to get there like around 12-ish, would you say?
Maybe 1 o'clock to 2.
1 o'clock to 2, that's kind of your sweet spot
Yeah,
where you...
and then if I have to go on,
then you've got the energy.
I've still got the energy to...
But at that point, would you... Well, you say you're going to start worrying because if you get to the next location, 2 hours down the road, now you're going to be puffed.
yeah.
So what do you do at that point? If you go to Albuquerque and it's a small town and it's later now because the other pilgrims have gotten there before you,
Yeah.
what do you do then?
Well, it's I've probably got 3 days left to Santiago.
Oh.
And it's not happened yet.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah.
So you've been able to do this
all the way.
all the way and you just stop and it's worked out?
Yeah. The only place I booked is Sarria because
It's a lot. It's a beginning.
lot of new pilgrims
You know
are
that.
joining there.
Yes.
But there were lots of spaces anyway in Sarria last
Yes.
night.
Yes.
So,
Right. Yeah, we didn't fare so well. We overpaid for a hotel room, $100 for paper thin walls. Somebody slips a note underneath my door that says, "Can I keep it down? The walls are thin." So it wasn't all that pleasant anyway.
oh dear.
Okay, Chris is our new friend that we just met, and he's winging it by the seat of his pants. And here's an Albuquerque on a busy street. It's like in the middle of absolutely nothing exciting, and we thought for sure he'd find a place. And boy, it was booked. It's like what, maybe a little bit after 12. So he may have to go to the next town.
A little more.
Oh my God, that is a good view, all right.
Oh wow.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, you're a Texas girl.
Yeah, I am a Texas girl.
This
but I
is
don't
nothing. Irish ought to be suffering.
And that's a good way to do it. People are travelling light, they travel over and they don't have anything booked or anything. And they just go from place to place.
We just met a man, and we've been doing this for 35 days. We met a man just now, Chris, Englishman, and he has done the whole thing by the seat of his pants.
About an hour out from our accommodations after Portomarin.
Because the pictures just don't do.
No,
Like, what's going on here? What is that?
I would say reforest.
Looks like there's snow on it. What is that?
Must be certain species.
That's funny. I mean, it looks like when I came up on it, it looked like there was
Oh,
snow
maybe it's
on
fruit. Okay, we're about an hour,
it. No, about 35 minutes.
35
We're
minutes.
almost there for the day.
Yeah, and I have to say that I'm pleasantly surprised that I thought today, for example, we met a lot of true pilgrims, the pilgrims that started long distance or
nice people.
yeah, very neat. It's very, I needed that. I think when we left Sarria, that we left Sarria, that it had a completely different feel. It was like tourism mixed in with the Camino, and you couldn't connect. And I would say that the vast majority of people, and also I made a point of being more open, saying hello and buenos dias to people, and just sort of giving the opening. And I think maybe that's part of it too. Is I think you get tired.
From Portugal.
Pepe
we met
and Chris from England.
We met Madge from Ireland. Young woman from Taiwan. Didn't get her name, but.
Yeah, so the point is that, we're tired too, and as much as I would like to have somebody come and lift me up, maybe it's me to do that. I think the talk with Pepe was at one of these albergues. He sort of initiated the round table sharing, and he said it was really a great thing and had a wonderful experience doing that. And so sometimes maybe that's the deal, is that I have to take more responsibility for it and take the charge and say hello. And I think that sometimes that's all it is. Now, an interesting phenomena is people they like to connect and then they like to go. And I get it, because it's an interesting phenomena. Of you come in,
I
you
felt that
interact,
too.
and then you want your own space again. So it's really, I don't know if it's because of the energy of that, you know, it takes more to now because you're talking and you're engaging, and then you just want to get like, just want to be quiet now. So it's an interesting thing there.
And I was feeling kind of sad and a little bit nervous of missing it. Like, am I going to miss what I was supposed to be doing here, what had called me to do this for so long, and feeling kind of sad about it. And I was sort of gripping my fists around this idea of what I was supposed to be doing, and it was like, just open your hands and just let it flow, through. That's kind of what I felt this morning. It's like, stop trying to control it, you know? I mean, it is kind of sad. It's almost like your life's about to end, you know? And maybe that feels more poignant because of Colleen. She had to know her life was about to end and what that was like to let go, you know? And hope that you didn't miss it.
Well, we're all gonna miss it. I mean, I don't care who you are. You know, we're all gonna kind of, at the end, wish we did this, wish we were braver, wish we had done that with the kids. You know, we're all gonna miss it. But that's...
Yeah, but this idea of letting it flow through you like water instead of gripping so hard with so much control, and then that's when you actually miss it. By gripping onto something too hard. Yeah, it's like the heart's kind of softening.
Well, and I think that's what I noticed with Chris. I mean, he put me in tears, put me in in tears. I mean, Pepe was sharing a couple very emotional things, and you know, if I were to do armchair psychology, it would be the equivalent of somebody going into a bar and being able to spill their guts out to the bartender that they never have to see again, and then down the road they go, and then they go back to their regular life. So yeah, and I think there's this the meditative rhythm of moving, of walking, that puts you almost in that. But the fact is, if you've been on this Camino for 30 days, boy, it does, your heart does open. You are around people, you are sharing more. He's going to Albuquerque's, and he's much more in direct commune with people. So he's going to be more sensitized, if you will. Maybe that's why we had a moment, and he kind of, and I swear to God, man, we were walking up a bloody hill. He just kept on going faster, and I was puffing out trying to keep up, and it was almost as if he was trying to get away from these emotions. So it was really an interesting interface. So I feel very...
Maybe he was energized by them.
I was real blessed. Well, you know, you have that emotion. It's almost coming from a deeper unconscious, and it makes you... there is a... I mean, which a lot of us are taught, certainly as boys, is that you can't show that you're going to be vulnerable, and so you have to kind of escape this vulnerability.
Like, how do you peel that crust off of your heart? And
open your heart.
I personally say you
be safe.
You have to ask
know that you're going to be okay.
That the Holy Spirit would come in and soften you.
Yes, I would say that I'm real pleased. I'm real pleased with the fact that I thought we're going to be hordes of people on the trail, because that's what it was said. So that's kind of why I do these videos, because you know, it might look like I'm kind of on the negative on some of this stuff, but boy, I'm really trying to give it to you the way it is. I'm getting rid of those rose-colored glasses. Oh, we're in the Camino. Oh, what a, you know, community. You know, I want to get rid of that.
I mean, it's
I want to give you
authentic.
Yeah.
It's not always pretty. The things that come up are not always pretty. Sometimes you're grappling with, like, making sense out of stuff, and just like in life, I mean, you know, if you filmed your life, there would be days where I would be complaining like crazy, like all of us.
Yeah.
You know? And there'd be days where I was just in complete awe of the miracle of it all.
Well, and I would say without a doubt today, the prayers that I had, even though I didn't make a big upon my knees and admonishment to God to that he heard the silence of my despair, and I think it made me more open to be able to receive the people that did come along, and I feel quite gifted, quite blessed. So this is kind of interesting. I think I'm good. Yeah, this is kind of like the first town we've really kind of come into in a while. I think there's 3 towns in quick succession. Kind of cute little Casa de Cota.